Hello, everyone, and welcome to the D-Pad Patreon Hangout for May 2023. We moved this pretty late into... Oh, my God. We moved this a little late into June because originally I had plans for both of the last two Fridays in a row, and then stuff got moved around a little bit. Both Friday plans didn't happen, and I was just like, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to let it stay there. It'll be fine. Not to mention, it's going to be 3 weeks until the end of this month, so I think we'll be back to normal for June. But hello. Hope everybody's been having a good May so far. Wow, even this colored lighting, you can see, like, bags under my eyes. Yeah, hopefully everyone's been having a good time as the weather's been getting better, unless you're in the northeast U.S., where the weather has been getting smokier than a barbecue would get you since Memorial Day. But that's just how it is now in the whole ass world. It's great. It's very great. Yeah, we hello howdy. Whoop. Oh, Goj is doing stuff. Oh my good God. I don't know who was actually around at the very end of last night, but like mild soul crushing finish to the stream there. We did get a shitload done, to be clear. We got all but 3 of our checklist items, and one of them is just a matter of letting shit run for a while. So really we're down to like 2 for city trial, and like, oh man, that was so close. I mean, that's the way I like it. Because you never get bored, so I want things to be boring. I would love things to be boring. I feel like I'm like way off to the side here, but if I fuck with this too much, the cable is gonna fall out. Gonna do this. There we go. I don't know how to. It's so hard. So, fun fact about this logo that I'm extremely proud of making 12 and a half years ago now. It's asymmetric. It wasn't intentional. But the bit right here, the up and down bit of the logo is not in the center. In fact, if I do this, I feel like you can get a pretty clear sense of that between you get like the 3 squares on the right and the 4.5, like 4 with a gap on the left. It makes it much harder than you would think to make it look good. In any given setting, really. Centered on other things that are centered. It looks a little bit weird. It looks a little weird in asymmetric stuff because it looks like everything is just listing to the side. The one case where the logo looks really good with stuff is anytime it's being placed alongside a logo that is leaned to the left. Well, for you guys this way. Because then they kind of offset each other. They take up each other's negative space a little bit, and they blend really nicely. But otherwise, for something like this, for example, where it's like, oh, where do I sit? Oh, I guess I kind of sit a little to the left where there's slightly more space. That's how that do. Yeah, it was more like by the time things were done, it just became like this fascinating marathon of like just how many times can we find Hydra parts without finding Dragoon parts. Mild spoiler. I did eventually find Dragoon parts one more time, and I completed the Dragoon and only found 2 Hydra parts. So, tragedy. Also, Dynablade, it didn't work out anywhere with Dynablade. I also tried throwing myself underneath Dynablade's feet after she lands, and it just doesn't work. So, we do just have to get lucky. Absolute, like, worst case scenario is, like, I grab some rubber bands. I do a 4-player thing, and I just place a bunch of Kirby's in common Dynablade hangout spots, like landing positions, and just rubber band the A button down, and we play more Jackbox doing that. I hope it doesn't come to that, but it might, just because the guessing game is just like awful. And it seems like there's like 5 or 6 spots that she lands. So like if I do with 4th players, the odds are pretty good that we're gonna get what we're looking for. What would those odds actually be? If it's 6 spots and we have 4 players, the odds of not getting it would be 2 in 6 and then 1 in 5. So a 1 in 15 chance of not getting it if it was if it was 6 spots with 4 players, like 6 scripted spots, you know. Yeah, the Dynablade one is like nuts. You just have to get lucky, or I guess the idea is the achievement is meant for someone who is very unlucky, but like having that happen by accident seems borderline impossible. Like I don't even know how the hell you would have something like that happen. Um, when an event happens, it is quickly unpause. Oh, does pausing and unpausing get rid of the event like scroll, the actual like thing that's in the way? Because I think that takes away the map for a second. I didn't consider whether that actually gets rid of the message that's there. Interesting. Because then there's the question too of like, does she appear on the map immediately, or does she only show up on the lap just to buffer and give herself time to see where she's going? Oh, does the scroll like keep going as it's paused? Because that would be interesting too. Which one of these? Okay, I got some Vita Cocos. One of them is open, and one of them isn't. Well, so she appears on the map. It was just a question of like, I can't remember whether the event message makes the map go away until it's gone, and if doing a quick pause unpause. So you're saying pause to look at the map and see, and then make the plan as opposed to just doing it live. I guess that's fair. That's not a bad idea. I don't remember how long you have before she lands is the real problem, because like the second time, like the exclamation point moves and you have like a second basically to get there. So if you're not already there, it's just not happening. The first one though, if the exclamation point appears before she starts to land, like by a good margin, then that might be enough time. So yeah, that's not the worst idea. And I think what's going to wind up happening is I'm going to wind up starting matches, 7-minute matches, playing for about 3 minutes per match. If I don't see any Dragoon or Hydra parts, then I just reset. If I do, then cool. And the hope is that Dynablade does not show up while I'm doing that. If anything, I hope she shows up early in matches where we don't get parts. That's the ideal scenario, I think. But that's where that's at. That was a rough go, but you know, it is what it is. Once we get those two things though, literally, unless we may get there, we may get the third achievement in the meantime, but there's one that's race for 200 miles, which is just a matter of I could just start a bunch of races and put 4 players on grind rails, assuming that counts. I don't know if it actually does, but I would assume it does. Throw them on the grind rails and just let them go and do part of a round of Quiplash or something, and then just lather, rinse, repeat. Because then it would only be a matter of however long it takes to ride for 50 miles because we got 4 players. So yeah, we did get the hot dogs. We got everything except for Dragoon and Hydra in the same match, which I realized far too late into the thing. Did not have to be the same player. It just said. God, what was the exact phrasing? I typed it out. In one match, complete both Dragoon and Hydra. So, like, it could be... So what I should really do is, assuming I'm not grabbing parts for both by the time that happens, if I get the Hydra, just grab player 2 to get the Dragoon. The Hydra is just so fucking unwieldy in the city. Dragoon is better, but not by a ton, just because it's so fast and ready to fly that it makes it a little bit tough to actually, like, navigate cleanly. So really the other trick is find an alternate machine as fast as possible, I guess. You can attack them to make them drop it. Yeah, exactly. So the biggest problem that I'd have there is, I guess if they've got the Hydra, then I can attack the Dragoon out of them. So that's not too bad. But yeah, so Kirby Air Ride, it's been a mess. Yup. I guess since we're already getting into it, I may as well go through like channel update stuff. I'm trying to think of any overarching things. We had our special delivery super stream over the Memorial Day weekend. We raised, I believe, $350, which is fucking great. I believe we're going to do another one of those sometime relatively soon. If nothing else, we will do one in September. But we may do another one before then, maybe 4th of July weekend. Who knows? But that went pretty well. It was fun to check out all those Ludum Dare games. The one thing that's kind of frustrating with Ludum Dare style stuff is that like every game is like different in terms of online or offline and resolution and frame rates and CPU usage or GPU usage, as we saw from B Livery. But we will hopefully be able to get to our $1,000 goal with parts 2 and maybe 3 of that stream. So we will see how that goes. Tears of the Kingdom has been beginning. That was a great stream. One of the few Saturdays where I was stuck at, oh, nice. That's great. I'm glad that we were able to give you something to watch and hang out for the long, slow day. It's always good to be able to, help out with stuff like that. Apparently, one of our viewers has been stuck, in the hospital and such, and was very happy for the D-pad unpaused uploads and their like just crazy length. So I'm happy that we're able to do all of those things. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. We are trucking on through. We have a few more episodes in the bag that haven't come out yet. Yes, we have gone to the Forgotten Temple, and checked out everything that's going on there, and have begun embarking properly to the Rito Village. This weekend we will almost certainly be recording us actually arriving and starting to do stuff there. I don't think any new game overs or anything like that, so all good news on that front. I am trying to figure out what the best time is for. So the idea behind doing the premieres for all of these is oh yeah, no, I mean it's true. The pins aren't necessarily just for noticing something is there. It's also just kind of a mental check of stuff that we haven't actually checked out yet. Because like if 90 episodes go by and we come around to that area, then it's like, do we, it's like, oh wait, did we actually get up there? Did we do the one below or did we do the one above? Fuck, what did we? So like, it's just nice for mental notes of like stuff that we have not yet looked at. Usually stuff that has stamps are just kind of like mental notes for later. Stuff that is pinned is usually stuff that we're trying to actively aim for. So yeah. I was going to say something and I completely forgot. So the, oh my God, the premieres. So the general gist of like why every episode is a premiere, it's sort of an experimental thing. I'm not planning on doing it for every series or anything like that. That was primarily a Tears of the Kingdom thing, though I was lightly considering doing the same for Star Force 3 since it is the last, like it is the final hurrah of Battle Network and Star Force. But as for Tears of the Kingdom, I figured big new game. A lot of folks are going to want to chit chat about it, and like I think it's kind of nice to be able to have a way for everybody to chat together while watching it, kind of as a group. Because sometimes the comments just kind of like they feel a little disconnected. They feel a little bit kind of like one person shows up, drops what they want to say, and they leave. So like doing it with the live chat is kind of fun because it gives everybody a chance to kind of bounce thoughts off each other and such. The big trick is time of day. That's always really, really like a tricky part because like, so right now I've been aiming for most days it's been noon Eastern, which is 9 a.m. Pacific, which isn't amazing. It's 5 p.m. in the UK, which is like, yeah. But like the trick is, unfortunately, our best performing videos have always been the ones in the like 12 to 3 range generally. So I'm trying to like figure out when the best time is to like get them, like make it the most comfortable for the most people. So there may be some experimentation with time. I don't know if I'm going to mess with the timing of them beyond like an hour. Usually if it goes up at 1 p.m., that's usually because the processing is taking like weirdly long. Usually I'm uploading them the night before, and then posting the premiere. It's annoying. I wish that you had the ability to schedule the announcement of a premiere on YouTube, because the second you tell you, because you can, we schedule most of our videos. Like today, it was like, okay, the Pokemon Shining Pearl video we had scheduled for 4 p.m. And it's like, okay, cool, that's easy enough to do. And it'll just post it at 4, and then it goes out. When you set something into a premiere, it immediately notifies people. Like, it immediately sends out a bunch of stuff for that. And it's like, I would love to be able to pre-schedule a premiere notification. I would love to be able to say, okay, this video is uploaded. I want the premiere to get published, like the announcement of the premiere to be published at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or something like that. So it's got a few hours, so everybody, has a link and all of that. But there is no option for that, and it is a little annoying because it means I have to get up in the morning and make a point of going and putting the premiere details on so that it can publish to everybody, which is why the premiere announcement comes at like kind of random points between like 8 and 10 a.m. because it relies entirely on that given day, like, how quick I am to be able to get to the computer and throw that stuff in. But yeah, as far as the timing goes, I don't know. I may throw like a poll up in the Discord or on Twitter or even on YouTube. I think there's YouTube polls, or at least the YouTube community tab or something, to see like if people have a preference on time. If there's one that's better than 12 p.m. that Eastern that really wins out, then we might move it to there. For all intents and purposes, our two like flagship series right now are Tears of the Kingdom and Star Force 3, with the like, the next two below that are basically Resident Evil 4 and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which is going to be coming back on Monday. That's the thing. It's tricky because like I want to be able to make it so that the most people can see it live, but then I've got the problem of like if I put it at 6 p.m. Eastern, which is like the latest that I think I'd want to do it as a premiere for starting. Then there's the problem of like, okay, folks who are in Europe, UK, all of that stuff, for them it's like 11 o'clock at night as it's getting started. So it's tricky. I don't know. I'm gonna look into it some. I might put some polls out over the weekend to see if there's a strong preference for a different time, and if there is, we'll move it. So I mean, that's we will do the best we can. Yeah, and that's all that I can really say on that, on that front. But yeah, we have a lot of like, current release games on the schedule all at once, which is really interesting. I guess we have 3 specifically, but we're gonna have Sonic Origins Plus later on in the month. The Sonic Frontiers DLC number 2. We're going to actually continue Sonic Prime. I'm going to have to get really intense with the editing. We kind of fell off of that. We watched the first 2 episodes and recorded reactions to it. The second one I never published because the first one was like real rough. That one was like legitimately kind of a pain in the ass and a big bummer. Netflix was real aggressive on flagging that. In fact, my reaction to the Summer Game Fest stream got blocked. I actually don't know if it's still blocked because one of the claims got released, but there were 2 claims on it. It got blocked for having in it the trailers for The Witcher 3 and Twisted Metal. And it's like, well, okay, like how the hell is this supposed to work if you're just going to claim videos of people just fucking, even official co-streamers? Yeah, I'm not surprised. If they're auto like blocking videos for it, it would not surprise me at all if like, legit sized co-streamers are getting hit as well. I'm also going to throw a quick thing in here real quick just so that for folks who did not see the announcement earlier. Whoops. Oh my god, I can't type with my fucking left hand. There we go. 1:30 Eastern. Ah, yes. They saw TV stuff for any licensed tournament and blank. Yeah, it's probably a good call. Like, it's so fucking aggravating. Like, it's part of the reason that I have been hesitant to even like do anything about, like, I think almost all, if not all, of our old James Bond seriously videos are blocked. We have a handful of things that are like Sonic Prime Episode 1 is completely blocked, unless I black out the screen immediately and throw it onto like our own web space. Like, what I guess I can do, oh, actually, no, because I think I even tried doing a full-length version of it with the screen blanked, and I want to say it still got blocked for the audio. And I was like, well, okay, then there's fucking nothing I can do. And it sucks because, like, I don't know, the folks who made that show are the same folks who made Mega Man Fully Charged, and I really like the work they do. Especially, honestly, like, the stuff in Sonic Prime is incredible. The even just the 2 episodes I've seen were fucking amazing. And I would love for them to know that we feel that way. But I can't put the video up because Netflix just grabs it out of the sky. And regardless of, like, I get that they don't want people putting up an uncut episode. That's fine. But I like, even slicing it up just a ton, it just doesn't survive. Like, the Animaniacs one was the same way. Animaniacs, we did that original video, I think, was like 18 minutes long, and I think the final video was like 7 minutes long, because we just had to keep cutting stuff out because it would get flagged over and over and over again. And it's like, man, I never use the excuse of, like, oh, it's free advertising, because that's not, you know, there's a lot of flaws with that argument. I don't find that one a very compelling argument. And it's one where I usually find myself on the devil's advocate side of, like, yeah, but, you know, free advertising implies it's still, like, if it was free advertising, they would still be able to call the shots on how they're advertising, right? Like, you don't hire a marketing team and then they surprise you. Right? Like, you work with them to figure out how you want to market your show, your movie, your album, whatever you're, you know, putting out there. So, like, the free advertising thing it doesn't really fly for me. I mean, it doesn't fly legally anyway, but also I feel like more often than not, the folks who say it's just free advertising are the ones who are usually, like, on the further dark side of the gray line of, like, how legitimate their usage of stuff is. It's on the show to people to be more lax. We just have to get, I mean, yeah, that's really what it comes down to, is just, like, keep trying, keep pushing. And the hope is that eventually they will realize that it's a very unpopular stance to just blanket, you know, block everything. But I mean, the sad side of it is, unless their wallet gets hurt, it's not going to matter. Like, they don't care unless the bottom dollar is actually, like, unless it hurts their bottom line, then they have no business reason not to. It's the same as when people are like, oh, there's always, now it's just all superhero movies that are out there. It's like, yeah, because they make like a fucking $1 billion a piece. They're extremely profitable most of the time, not all the time. There's been lately there's been a lot more hit or miss. But it's like, yeah, why wouldn't studios and theaters want as many superhero movies as they can? They're all fucking making shitloads of money. You know? So it's tough. There's a lot of that where it's just like, yep, I get why it would be cool if this were a different way, but it isn't. And I get why that choice is being made, but, like, legal rules for like Final Fantasy 14 is okay with you uploading the music as long as you include gameplay, which is an interesting stance considering they don't have that same feeling when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. Literally every first and last episode of every Kingdom Hearts game we've played has been flagged for Simple and Clean and for Sanctuary. Every single time, and it never gets the okay when we appeal. Even when I'm like, yo, it's a credit sequence and you don't give me the ability to skip them. So, I mean, the answer, like, even worse, I feel like for streamers where it's like, oh, the credits are starting. I guess I'll blank the screen and we'll just kind of sit in silence for 9 minutes without video, without audio or anything. I don't know. It's a mess. It's a big mess. And it's frustrating because, like, I also kind of get where YouTube's stance is, where it's like, okay, they annoyingly are incentivized to err on the side of the content creator, like the original IP holder, or else they become potentially liable too, which is like fucking hell. Because it was sung by Bump of Chicken. Is that a Japanese band? That sounds like a Japanese band name. That's fucking aggravating too when it's like, oh, you don't give me the ability to, like, the whole argument with Nintendo right now is 13's ending is 15 has freaking stamp. Wait, no, I'm sorry. 15 has a cover of like, so darling, darling, stand by me. Like that Stand By Me is the credits theme for what? Like, was the inspiration for the game for Buddy Bros on a little trip together just taken from the movie Stand By Me? And they decided to go as hard as they could, just like right on the nose with the reference. That is the weirdest. That is such a strange, like, that's so strange for a JRPG in particular. Like, at least, like, Resident Evil did that with their most recent games, but, like, they're re-themed, right? Like, they're themed in a more, like, a horror way, and they match, like, the tone and stuff, but, interesting, huh? Oh, that's where I recognize Bump of Chicken from. I was like, that did sound familiar too. That makes sense because I do remember the anniversary video. That was a fun one. Yeah, I don't know. It's annoying. It's so exhausting. Honestly, there's a part of me that's glad that and I hate feeling like this, but there's a part of me that's glad that we're done doing Mega Man NT Warrior and Mega Man Star Force anime videos. Not that I didn't like watching the show and doing those, I did, but because every single time we did it, ShowPro showed up with a meat cleaver and said, we're going to chop about 20% of your video off. And it's just like, come on. I'm actively trying to review a show that you never made physical purchasable copies of, that was never released in English for in the first place. Like, what possible market of yours could I be cutting into right now? Like, granted, I know that it's a cultural thing too. Japan is like fiercely protective of copyright, to like a nutso degree by comparison to like the U.S. and most other countries. It's brutal in terms of that, and like not just from the IP holders, but also just like in the terms there was. Someone, oh boy, this was about 2 years ago, I think. Proto Dude had briefly been in contact or been made aware of someone who had found and bought a prototype of Mega Man X off of not eBay, but like one of the eBay like websites. There's a big one in Japan, and I'm blanking. I've been on there before, scoping some stuff out. Oh, did I? What? I thought I edited that. I'll update that. I thought that I had fixed that, actually. Let me double check for that. Did I edit the wrong page? I may have edited the wrong page. That's hilarious. Yeah, let me fix this real quick. Yeah, this is weird. I definitely had I must have edited that. So usually when I make a credits page, I pull open the old one, I copy paste, and then I make changes as need be, and I change up the intro. and I must have edited it on the wrong one and then just not hit save because why would I? But that's weird. It is now correct. I think. Yeah, that looks correct. Cool. But yeah, so there was someone who had found a prototype of Mega Man X in Japan, and I think Protodude had gotten a hold of. It may not have been Protodude. I think it was. If it wasn't, then I apologize. But he had reached out to him on like Twitter or something to ask like, hey, would you be interested in like that being preserved and like dumping the ROM and stuff? And he was like, no. And they talked for a little bit, and it wasn't even so much like in the States, you definitely have people who are like, oh, I got this rare game, but if I dump it, then it's not worth anything, and I can't resell it, so no. And it's like, well, that's shitty. This was more a matter of like, oh, well, no, I bought this, but it doesn't belong to other people. And in sort of a sense of like it doesn't belong to them either. It's more just like, yeah, well, this belongs to Japan. We're not going to release this to the world as this thing. This is, someone's, and we're going to keep it, and I'm just going to keep it like this. And it's like, well, that fucking sucks. But Alex Britt, I think you are, where's my list? You are currently on Kirby and Pokemon Arceus. Those are the ones that I have listed for you at present. I do not have... Oh, actually, yeah, no, those are the ones that you are listed on right now. But yeah, so, like, I don't know. I would love to do more, like, reviews of things, but it's getting tricky. And, like, I can do reviews where we don't show any visual stuff, but, like... man, and it's like even trailers sometimes get flagged, and it's like it's literally like publicity marketing material. I don't know. It's annoying because I know that in so many of these cases, not all of them obviously, but in so many of these cases, you could make a pretty decent legal argument for fair use. Because you're reviewing it. You're not, trying to replace the act of watching it. Right. And I have a local saved version of that, and I'm going to have to put up a version where it blanks out the Netflix trailers, because those are what got flagged. I got 2 separate copyright claims for the Netflix Witcher trailer and the Netflix Twisted Metal trailer. For those wondering, and like I mentioned before, why Sonic Prime, we don't have more videos up for that. The first episode got claimed literally no matter what I did with it, and it's really upsetting. And it sucks because, like, I don't know, especially with Mega Man Fully Charged, we found ourselves in this fun, like, pseudo synergistic kind of place with like Wild Brain and those folks, and like, I don't know. It would have been nice to be able to do that with Sonic Prime, and I just don't know if we're going to be able to. Because it's a fun show, and they deserve to know it, and I don't know. Sort of. The reason a lot there are channels that re-upload stuff and get away with it is because there's so many of them. Literally just shitloads and shitloads and shitloads. Usually it's not full movies and shows. A lot of them will break it down into parts. A lot of those get flagged. More often than not, they will post a video that is the correct length of the movie, but it'll be a still image and just some thing playing in the background. It'll have like text that shows a link to some fucking garbage virus-riddled download site. And it's, I don't know, it's a fucking hell thing. Trailers. Sometimes it really depends. I don't see it too much with Netflix. Netflix is like draconian about it in a way that I have not seen before. In terms of movie show stuff, like they basically auto flag, or they basically auto block anything that matches any amount of the things that they upload. Most studios, most production houses are not that extreme with it. Netflix, however, is, which is a bummer. It is a big time bummer. Also, yeah, like I'm sure that there's gonna be some. Yeah, like I get that like fucking Twisted Metal is a video game and The Witcher is a video game based on a book. But like I don't know, it feels kind of weird to be. I don't know. I guess it's gaming tangential. It's in the gaming sphere, but it still just feels a little bit off. Sometimes it's just like I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyway, that's kind of a rambling thing about the state of like video copyright, audio video copyright, I guess, on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe I should try uploading uncut versions of things onto Twitch and see if they get flagged there, if they've got a different copyright response on that side, or if it'll just auto mute stuff. We'll have to see. Yikes. I don't know. But I'll figure something out. Season 2 of Sonic Prime is coming out in July. Sonic Superstars is coming out this fall. So we'll be keeping an eye on those. Spider-Man 2 is coming out in October. And I will more than likely be streaming that. You know, the same way we streamed Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I might do the same thing with Pikmin 4. I did pre-order Pikmin 4. I might wind up streaming Pikmin 4. Same as we did with Pikmin 1. We'll see. I don't know. That one's a little bit more on the fence. And of course, the polls selected Persona 4 as the next stream to get into after Pokemon Violet is done, which, if it's anything like how long the last one was, either I'm going to need to do Tuesday, Thursday ones for that, or it's going to be about, let's see, if I do, it's basically going to take me all the way until like next March, give or take. I don't know. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I will probably play Golden. I think Golden has more going on for it, right? That's the similar one to like Fess or Royal and all of that stuff? Or is Golden a separate situation? I don't know. But that'll be coming down the pipes soon-ish. Improvement in every way, then yeah, I'll probably just do Golden. The irony being, there was a certain thing that got leaked on Instagram, and I'll jump ahead of all of the questions related to that, and no, I'm not going to, do anything involving the thing that was leaked. It's just so much. I can't justify it. Being vague on purpose, if you want to know what it is, honestly, you could search Instagram leak on Twitter and probably find it in seconds. But for those who don't want to be spoiled on what I'm referring to, I'm not going to name that. But I'm going to play a spinoff for a game he hasn't played. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. What else? Mega Man, the Mega Let's Play, should be coming back this coming week. We do have the next, I say entire, like it's a big one. It's not a super long series for. We've had the next game, Street Fighter Cross Tekken. We've had a thing recorded for that for a while. There was a video that I wanted to lead into that with that I don't know if I'm going to do at all. I'm still on the fence about it. I will know by the end of the weekend, and that'll determine like the exact timing of what comes out there. But Street Fighter Cross Tekken should be coming out this coming week, and then I'm going to be in for World of Pain shortly after that, with the game that we're going to cover afterwards. So that'll be fun. I mean, it's more fun to guess. I don't know. I find it interesting to be able to like verbalize our thought process as we go. Holy cow. There is a lot of full stop hilarious shit in the next batch in this weekend's episodes. For what it's worth, we have prior to the first video going up, we have 16 episodes in the can already. So literally all of June and just about all of July is already recorded, just so that everyone's on the same page with that. It definitely feels like they're drifting back towards a Battle Network vibe. The way that, like, oh, everybody's got a wizard now, as opposed to, how everyone had their net navies, and even just having norm navs and all of that stuff in the Battle Network games. So, like, it's weird that they're, like, regressing super hard into the vibe of Battle Network. Not necessarily in a bad way, although it might have, negative effects too, but we will see. We'll see how that goes. So that's Star Force, Street Fighter. Sonic I already kind of got into. I guess I kind of already walked through all that. We do have how many do we have? I think we have 11 episodes of the next Sonic series already recorded, but because that's going to take a while, and because Sonic Origins Plus is coming out in 2 weeks, we're going to hold off on publishing those videos until after we've done Sonic Origins Plus and presumably the Sonic Frontiers second wave DLC. Just because, like, I don't want to get started on that and then have to cut it off for, like, a really long time and then bring it back in the middle of the game. Yeah, I think we're the loose plan is that we're basically probably going to just play through the story mode as Amy, and then probably also do Knuckles and Sonic CD, because why the hell not? And that's probably going to be it. I don't know if there's any other new content that's going to be in there, but that's basically what we're going to do for that. So, like, rough guess, that'll probably be, like, I don't know, 5 weeks? Somewhere along those lines. I don't know. I guess it really depends if it's any harder to play as Amy. Could be a little bit more than that. So that'll probably be June and most of July. And then Frontiers, I have literally no idea what we're going to get out of that DLC. So yeah, Sonic is in, like, a really, like, rolling set of, like, releases lately, because we're going to have those, and then we're going to have Sonic Superstars sometime in the fall. So, like, I keep trying to get the Supersonic Let's Play back on its feet, but then they keep putting out more stuff. So it's been kind of tricky to actually get stuff moving again. We do have a lot left to go. So I don't know. I have to assume that after Sonic Superstars, there's going to be kind of a quiet period in terms of releases, with the exception of the third DLC for Sonic Frontiers. I imagine after that, it's gonna go dark for a little bit. Probably not like 2 years, but I will be a little surprised if they have any significant releases in 2024. Maybe DLC for Sonic Superstars or something. And honestly, it's hilarious to me that after doing Sonic Weekathon and Sonic Weekathon 2, we now have every game that I played for both of those, minus Knuckles Chaotix. I think it's the only one that's not in there, and Sonic Pocket Adventure also. So the last game from each of the 2 Weekathons, every other game that I did for both of those is now all on one cartridge. And I was like, oh, man. Should have stalled that. I should have stalled on that. It would have been so easy to do this year instead of last year, but alas. But yeah, we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to play it by ear. I don't know. We have a ton of Sonic left to go. We'll be playing Sonic till we're fucking 50. But honestly, if the reason for that is because they keep putting out new games, then, like, there are worse problems to have, right? If we wind up with this weird parallel series of, like, new Sonic and old Sonic happening kind of side by side, then, like, fine, The Supersonic Let's Play is already confusing enough to navigate, just in terms of how frequently a new game will come out that we then cover. I think the only new Sonic game that we did not play when it came out was the second Sonic Boom game. And that was because none of us had played Fire and Ice. And we were like, okay, Sonic 4. That's the funniest part of all of this is let me take a look at the list. Oh yeah, there's absolutely no chance we're gonna get to Sonic 4 before, like, Sonic 4 was already gonna be next year, like, for certain. Um, and so there's no chance of that happening before Sonic Superstars come out, which is gonna be even double hilarious considering that means there's we're gonna play Sonic Superstars, and then we're gonna go back and play Sonic 4 Episode 1, and it's gonna be just the fucking worst. It's gonna be so bad. Um, Rarely is there a game where I'm going in knowing ahead of time it's gonna be absolutely terrible for everybody. But Sonic 4 Episode 1, yeah, absolutely is that. I've never played Episode 2. I've heard it's better. I'll believe when I see it. I have played Episode 1, not even just what we recorded for the show back in 2011, 2012, whenever that was. But I had played it myself before that, and it's just bad. It feels so not good. It does not feel at all good for a Sonic game. And yeah, the Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, we actually are going to be playing that pretty soon. Sonic Speed Simulator, I've been kind of iffy on whether to include that. One, because it's a game within a game, which gets a little dicey. It then is like, okay, do we play the like, wasn't there a Lego Sonic thing in like the Lego Universe game or some shit, or Lego Underground or whatever the hell it was? And then there was another Sonic game within a game thing a couple years back too. Wasn't there a Sonic Minecraft thing also? There's Sonic characters in Fall Guys, like Sonic Speed Simulator. I thought it's built in Roblox, isn't it? Isn't that the whole thing there? Like you have to go through Roblox to actually get to it. I don't know if it's in the Sonic World in Roblox, but there's also a Sonic World in Roblox that I have been to because I wasn't sure how easy it was going to be to get a hold of a clean version of the first episode of Sonic Prime. So I went to the live screening event and screen recorded so that I had at least the possibility of a thing. Roblox isn't a game, it's an engine. I mean, it is, yes, it's kind of both. It's complicated. It's not an engine in the same way that Unity is just an engine. It'd be more like, it's more like, I don't know, Second Life or something, where it's both the overarching, like, you know, gameplay zone and the ability to construct stuff within it. But I don't know. We'll see if we get around to that. I also have kind of a personal disagreement with a lot of stuff that Roblox has been doing lately, just in general. So, like, I don't know how much I want to platform it in the first place. So, I don't know. We'll see. Anywho. But yeah, Sonic 4, originally, I'm just looking at, like, what games are coming up. I mean, in the vaguely near horizon, we have both the Sonic RPG and Sonic Unleashed, which between the two of those alone would take us into next year. So, yeah, we're not going to be seeing Sonic 4 for a little bit still. It would have been hilarious if we had gotten to Sonic 4 like right before Sonic Superstars, just to have the direct one-to-one comparison. But that is okay. I'm sure we will have a lot to say about it when we get there. Let's see. So that's Sonic. Pokemon. John has gotten to the gym and beaten it in Shining Pearl, which means the next video we record is going to be our face-off. We have not recorded it yet. I don't know if John's going to be here this weekend. If he is, then we will be recording the 6th face-off, and then whoever wins will continue. If I win this face-off, that is game in terms of the actual padlock portion of it. But I might not. We'll see. If I don't, then I'm going to be coming hard swinging for face-off 7 because I'm not interested in having another tiebreaker match to end the game. So I'm just going to come out and say I don't have any qualms about going absolutely apeshit with the stage hazards on this one. So would that be your first win? It would be the first one that I win by points. I won Pokemon Insurgents by default because John whited out and then forfeited overall. So when in Pokemon Insurgents, at least the version we played, I don't know if they changed this, but if you white out in Pokemon Insurgents while playing in Nuzlocke mode, the game forcibly boots you out of Nuzlocke mode. at least in terms of the hard-coded stuff that it'll do for you. You could keep doing a Nuzlocke yourself. Beyond that, it just won't be enforced by the game. But he opted at that point to just bail. I think he had 2 or 3 Pokemon in his box, and he was like, no, this sucks. And I managed to get through all of the content of the game at that point. Honestly, all I had to do to win the padlock itself was to beat the first gym leader, and I did. I have since beaten 6 gym leaders and 2 like disc bosses, essentially, like a disc 1, disc 2 boss, including I think 4 separate battles that have come down to me having only 1 Pokemon left, and usually the battle coming down to the last available move of either my or the opposing Pokemon. It's been tense. It's been tense. When Arceus and Diamond and Pearl are clear, we're going to be getting back into Insurgents, and I'm probably going to lose the Nuzlocke almost immediately. I will be legit stunned if I can get past part 140, we'll say, without losing. For those playing at home, the last episode we did was part 138. So, yeah. And then the game broke. Ooh. Oh, no. That's not good. Yeah, I'm basically expecting to get absolutely fucking creamed during the Elite Four. Gym battles have been tough. Act bosses have been insane. And I know that there is also post-game content in Insurgents. And I'm... there's going to be a point... Essentially, I'm going to take a look at what my levels are at when it comes time to do the old Victory Road Elite Four march, and I'm probably just going to grind a shitload on my way up there. I think my dudes are all... I think all the Pokemon involved are like near level 70 at this point. I may legit just try to grind people up into the 90s or just straight up 100. I really don't know. We'll see. It's just like... I've gone through so much with that, and I don't know, and not to mention, honestly, given how the rest of the game works, level 100 is almost certain to not be a guarantee of anything. So I don't know. I am definitely concerned that there's going to be like Perish Song and shit like that going on in the Elite Four, at least in one place or another. I lost my starter a million years ago, so oh great, it's level scaling. Perfect. I mean, strictly speaking, if I go to level 100, I guess the question is, do they go over level 100? Because if they don't, then if I got to level 100, that would be technically the optimal strategy if they're going to scale their levels based off of that. But also, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they had like, oh, level 107 and shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, Arceus not being under Nuzlocke rules is good, since those battles can be really devastating unexpectedly. In Arceus, we are now... Let's see. The last thing that we did in our recording... I think we got our flying Pokemon in the last recording. That hasn't gone up yet. We have... like another 4 or 5 episodes in the can for that, so we may have this whole week coming up. After that, though, we have nothing. I'm probably... I guess we have the Noble Avalugg to quell, and then we have whatever the game throws at us before we can clear out the penultimate main quest stuff. Because the ultimate one is meeting Arceus, which requires having caught every Pokemon. I'm glad you don't have to have a research level of 10 with every Pokemon for that. That's insane. But yeah, there was some cool stuff in there. Actual puzzles, actual dungeon, and it worked nicely in a 3D space. It wasn't like super elaborate. They could have done more with it, but it was fine, especially for Pokemon, who normally doesn't get that far into it. We're gonna get anything we need to do to get through the main stuff. We're going to get all of the unknown, and then we're going to start picking up Pokemon so we can go meet Arceus. And then that'll be it. I don't know if there's going to be like post-game stuff to really worry about beyond that, but Guess we'll see. I may also try to clear all of the missions, which will get easier to do as I start filling out the Pokedex, since a lot of them are like, hey, can you find a blah? And as we fill out the Pokedex, either A, we will have stuff that we didn't have before, or B, I will just track stuff and go, oh, I need a large Cricketot or something? And I still haven't actually done that mission yet, I don't think. So being able to do those will be nice. So that'll be a whole thing there. Relatedly, no news on Crown Tundra. We haven't gotten Ben and Jeff here at the same time to be able to get that one moving. But when they do, we will. Considering how short Isle of Armor actually was, it really isn't going to come down to a huge number of sessions. It'll probably be like 2, maybe 3 sessions for that to get through Crown Tundra and properly be done with Sword for good. What was I going to say? Jeff and Dave in the streaming world are getting into a brother lock. X versus Y, the same pair of games that John and I actually did for our first padlock. I realized after they had like gotten that started. Jeff got through the first gym. I think he missed 2 Pokemon, missed catching 2 Pokemon, but otherwise he's got. He's got Fennekin, he's got a Beedrill, he's got a Pidgey, I think, and a Bunnelby, I think is his team. I don't know if Bunnelby evolved. He might have evolved. That's the thing. Jeff was asking about X and Y, and I was like, honestly, that's probably your best bet in terms of like, it's far enough away from stuff that's been done recently on the channel, which is always good, and also it is one of the better Nuzlockable games in my opinion. Yes, the Brother Lock is going to get posted on the main channel. I've got a backlog of streams that need to get published. I'm going to be working on that a little bit this weekend to get those like ready to roll. I'll probably post like one stream, maybe 2 per day just to get those caught back up, but it should go up probably within the next like week or so. Yeah, so I think X and Y will be pretty good. Oh, yeah, the Dunsparce, I happened to drop in when the Dunsparce thing was happening. That got a little close. There were a couple times an ill-timed crit might have been pretty devastating. So we'll see how things go in the future, especially as someone who got absolutely blown apart by bad luck rolls when it comes to crits and one-hit KOs. So I'll be curious to see how these 2 runs shake out over time. It's always interesting, too, because it's like in the first, like, 3-ish chapters of the game, that's when you're at your most susceptible to just full-on losing the Nuzlocke if you don't have a whiteout clause, just because you have such a small volume and you can potentially start running out. Once you get past that, though, you have enough of a cushion if you're catching things well enough to not be in, like, immediate danger of losing overall. So we'll see how the face-off goes, too. I guess Jeff is going to have to be on hand for Dave's stream in order to have that face off. I'm curious how they're gonna do, because I guess they're not doing it by the like full on padlock rules, which is the ones that John and I have done, which involves like one person goes first and they play the whole chapter, second one goes second, they can go through the whole chapter, since they're probably gonna be alternating Mondays and Wednesdays. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I think that's everything for Pokemon. Resident Evil 4, we have about a week or so of that in the can already. I think CJ might be coming by this weekend to get some more recorded as well. We're going to be getting back into that. We have a ton more of that game to go. That one's actually going to be like pretty fucking beefy, all things considered. I think that's going to be one of our longer series by the end of it all. One of our longer series that isn't a Pokemon or a Battle Network game. Those ones tend to get pretty meaty, but Resident Evil usually isn't quite that large. One of our games ended at like 40 episodes, and we're already getting close to 30, and it's like, yeah, we're literally absolutely nowhere near even like the halfway point, let alone done. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, we have about a week of videos for that as well. That's going to get posted on Monday. That might be like something that kind of comes and goes a little bit, just because I want us to be able to do that when we have 4 people. We don't always have 4 people on hand, and it's also a remake of an old game, so I'm not like super hung up on making sure we get new videos out every week. Excuse me, my God. Same kind of goes for Resident Evil 4. We're trying really hard to make sure we have those as often as possible, but if we have a week that it doesn't happen, then it just, it happens. But we do have another week or so of that in the cans. They'll be starting up on Monday as well. And then we'll be, working our way through that. I'm interested in the Magalore epilogue situation going on there. I still don't know anything about it. I've been itched to stay away from all spoilers for it, so I'm happy about that. We'll see how that one goes. What else? Twitch stuff in general. I think the Sunday crew is back into doing Barotrauma with the new updates. And CJ is in the thick of it with One Piece Odyssey. My Tuesdays have been Pokemon Violet. We're getting close there. I have beaten all of the Totem Pokemon. I have beaten all of the gyms. I have 2 Team Star bases to go, and then it's time for the end chunks of all 3 of those. And the ending of the game, essentially, before we get back into Living Dex territory for that one. So that'll be an interesting time. Thursdays have been Kirby's Air Ride. We are, Kirby Air Ride. I think it's Kirby Air Ride, not Kirby's Air Ride. We are 3 items away from being done with the city trial checklist, and then we have 19 left to go, or 24 because we had hammer spots. 24 to go before we're done with the Air Ride mode itself, and then we will have 100%ed the game after only 317 hours, and I think that's a pretty good run. I think that's pretty good. That's actually a third place finish overall, so I think that's that's pretty respectable for a blind run. I think that's pretty good. What else? I think that's it for streams. Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is now in this really complicated and slightly annoying territory. We're going to be watching a lot of stuff and reacting to a lot of stuff. We have, in fact, already watched Kingdom Hearts Key. We are going to be watching Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key sometime later in the month / early July. Jeff is not around for a couple weeks, and then we're gone for the first week that he is available. So we're going to be doing our best to get on that as soon as we can get the 3 of us together for it. After that, we have Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage, my favorite title in Kingdom Hearts. Literally, not like title meaning game, title meaning the name of the game. My favorite fucking title in basically any video game ever. So we'll be playing that, and then we will be. Let me make sure I get the order for this right. We're going to be. I'm just going to look at my list. I have the order that we're doing these in. We are then going to be watching Kingdom Hearts Key back cover, and then Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. And we do have a reference that someone. So I'm going off of Square Enix themselves have a what order to do things in for the intended experience basically. So we're just going off of that. The one thing that they've done that I definitely disagree with is they want people to play 358/2 before Kingdom Hearts 2, which feels a little weird. I feel like you lack the kind of punch of playing as Roxas if you already know what happens to him, or rather, you lack the punch if you don't know what's happening to him, and you're just playing this as this just other guy the whole time. Sorry, my sinuses are all of a sudden going nuts. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts Key back cover, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. There's a oh my God, there's a guide that someone made actually on Reddit that puts essentially it. So when we watch Unchained Key and Union Cross, we are literally going to be opening up the Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Dark Road mobile app and going into the theater mode because the game is offline. Or rather, sorry, Union Cross is completely dead as a game and is just theater mode. Dark Road is offline and that one we actually will play eventually, way down the line. But for Union Cross, the game, the theater mode, you essentially have a list of cutscenes you can watch, and they're not videos; they are interactive. You hit A, you tap the screen to actually advance text. So we're gonna have to actively like do that. But the way that they do it is not, because you could arguably play the game in a lot of branching ways. They essentially go location by location and put the cutscenes in order for that location. The problem is you can go back and forth to locations multiple times. So someone has gone through and painstakingly put together what is essentially the correct-ish order of all of these cutscenes to make as much sense as possible without the context of actually playing through levels. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah, that is going to be coming eventually. And then once we're done with... they also make a point of telling you where the line is between Unchained Key and Union Cross. At what point the Union Cross story kind of begins. So that'll be useful for us. We'll kind of split that in half, and we'll do both parts of those in chunks. Once we are done with the 4 different key things and 0.2, it is time at long last for Kingdom Hearts 3. With a few things that come after that as well. I don't think Kingdom Hearts 4 has a release date yet, right? That's still just kind of generally in the wind. There's no like real there's no real news on that front, I don't think. Yeah, it looks like there's no real release date for it. Okay. All right, so realistically that means that it's going to be at least a couple of years. Like, I would be surprised if it was anything before 2025. So it'll be the same thing as we did for Zelda, same thing as we did for Kirby, where it's like, okay, once we've wrapped up everything, assuming we get through everything else before then, which I think we probably will, then we will wind up just putting it into stasis until Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out, and we'll play that when it's brand new. Oh my god, I'm so gross right now. I'm so sorry. I think that is actually it for game updates. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're finally back into the thick of things. We're playing a bunch of games. Part of the reason we've only had a few games getting posted is because I've been getting back into the rhythm of things. So it's been kind of spinning things up, but we're finally getting back into it, and we will be posting a lot more very, very soon. I'm excited. It should be a good time. And I think hindsight is kind of just on ice in general. We may wind up just kind of closing it down quietly at this point. I don't know. It was something that made more sense to try and do. I mean, originally the goal was to do it before the pandemic even happened. And then once the pandemic happened, it was really hard to get people together just in general. And, you know, the sad thing, you know, sad truth of, you know, what happened with the pandemic is that everybody kind of floated a little bit. You know, the whole group doesn't get together for as much stuff. The beginning of Tears of the Kingdom was a good excuse to get people together for things, but, you know, we're all in our 30s, so people are kind of like drifting a little bit and moving and all of those things. So it makes it a little bit tougher to get together as a big group. Hindsight doesn't necessarily need to be a big group, but it just kind of, you know, the individual games are one thing, but the meta story that went with that is probably just gonna not be a thing at this point, which sucks. I feel bad because I had some interesting ideas for what I wanted to do with that, but it just doesn't seem. It seems kind of untenable at this point. Like, I have to be the one to look at the situation and go, you know, yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down. And it is probably going to quietly drift away at this point. The games themselves may show up. I don't know that we're going to necessarily do like full live intro, outro style stuff. We still might. But yeah, 2021. It sucks. It was also, it was both simultaneously intended to close out a bunch of like meta plot related stuff that we had been doing over the years, while also connecting to some new things as well. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going to wind up happening there. Ironically, there's been stuff that I've wanted to produce that hindsight has kind of slowed me down on in some ways, and I think with how difficult it is to get hindsight moving, we're probably just going to like let it sit, you know. It sucks, but such is life. We were honestly in a lot of ways extremely fortunate to be able to do as much meta stuff as we did over all of these things, and the fact that any of it made any sense at all is like a fucking miracle. So yeah. The live intro, so that was kind of a few ideas that just kind of glommed into each other that I was messing around with. The gist of that was I had a couple ideas for an intro before, and none of them I really liked very much. And then when the writer's strike happened, I was like, okay, I can do something with this. For one, I was like, I do feel a little bit guilty writing and scripting stuff. Like, I'm not a member of the WGA, obviously, but I want to show support and solidarity and stuff. And I was like, you know what? It feels weird writing and scripting stuff. Is there any way that I could not write something? And I was like, do I just like riff? Do I just improvise an intro? Like that could be kind of weird. Like it would also be really time consuming for me to improvise a 5-minute intro or something for the game. It could take hours and hours and hours just to be able to get the right vibe out of it. And honestly, strictly speaking, improvisation is also technically considered writing by the WGA if you are normally a writer on a project. It's something that's impacting the Deadpool 3 shooting right now. Ryan Reynolds is legally not allowed to improvise on set right now because he is a writer for the movie overall, and so him improvising is him making edits as a writer on set. So he's not allowed to do it. So I was like that, in addition to just improv intro, seems like just asking for trouble. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I that became combined with there was a lot of stuff that I was reading in terms of like, it's already been a big problem with manga. It's starting to hit anime as well, where actual artists are being fired and replaced with people who are just feeding prompts into Chat GPT. And there was suddenly, like the week before I filmed this, there were starting to be stories coming out of similar situations happening in the realm of writing. Not related to the WGA strike, but when word started to get out about that, it started to merge into like, hey, some people are using ChatGPT to write scripts, and writers of scripts are currently on strike. So why don't the studios just use ChatGPT to write scripts? Hey, maybe that's a great way for studios to get scripts for cheap in the future, which is fucking harrowing and dark. And it is one thing to use algorithms and AI to make work easier, just in general. It's another when, like, the gist and the premise of, like, essentially AI and robot workers and stuff like that is that it is like conceptually the idea was, hey, if we have automated things that will do this, then it means a person doesn't have to do that, which then means that if we, like, big asterisk in the middle of the sentence, they're like, oh, if we do that, then people don't have to work as much and they'll have more, ability to do what they want with their life and their time and their money and such. The big asterisk is that there needs to be some kind of universal basic income or otherwise social pay structure or something in order to offset the fact that fewer people would be able to work as a result. So like the idea that this is suddenly transformed into AI being used to replace a human's ability to create art, like, or at least substitute sufficiently for someone who doesn't care about art for them to go, that's good enough. It's really fucking like tragic on an existential scale where people are so gangbusters about AI for anything at all, that they will clap and cheer for robots being built in order to prevent people from being able to create art meaningfully. It's like really fucked up and shitty, and like so antithetical to what the original intent of creating these algorithms and AI and things was meant to do. Like the whole point of all of this automated stuff was to allow people to enjoy their lives a little more. And now we're making it so that artists can't do that because we have decided to make the robots do that, which is fucking stupid and horrible. So I decided to merge all of this in, where the idea is that, in character me didn't write an intro, but is still reading off a script. The script having been written by way of a ChatGPT prompt. For the record, the script in that video, both the one that is being read and the one that is seen on my computer screen, are in fact a ChatGPT prompt. I got exactly one word wrong. Usually I don't care about getting my scripts a little bit wrong, but for this one it was very important to actually get it word for word, since I then showed the script on screen. I think I called Omegasis ferocious instead of menacing. I think that was the one word that I got wrong. While I was workshopping the idea, I gave it the prompt something like, write an intro to a video about Mega Man Star Force 3 in the style of the YouTube channel The D-Pad. I have no idea how much of that it was able to glean. I don't think ChatGPT has any idea who the fuck we are enough to be able to do that stuff. It started specifically talking about Star Force 2, I noticed. Was the Brother Band in Star Force 1 also, or was that 2? I can't remember which one it was, but regardless, that was the thing, is I put it in there because I was curious, what is it even going to come up with? Is it going to be total garbage? Is it going to be weirdly and worryingly accurate? And what I got was a script where, okay, cool. So yeah, what I got was a script where it started out relatively accurate, if really tropey. Like, hey gamers, welcome to the electrifying realm of, welcome to the D-Pad, your one-stop shop for gaming history. It's cringy fucking boilerplate bullshit. And including, they kept saying electrifying. For some reason, everything was electrifying. It used that term 3 times over the course of the script. But what I found was that this was a pretty perfect result, where the beginning was tropey but accurate enough, but over the course of it, it started to get things wrong in an increasing volume as time went on. And it started leaving a lot of stuff out. It started leaving important elements out. It basically, I think it, outside of the mention of noise, I don't think that it discussed the story of the game at all. I don't think it got into the plot even a little bit. So yeah, it basically, compounding mistakes was basically exactly it. It was a cascading error, essentially, where it would get one thing wrong and then it would start getting a little bit more wrong. It got rated super high, and on Metacritic it's 53 or something, terrible. Not the worst scores, but not good, obviously. Star Force 3 sold a couple hundred. It sold 150,000 units between the two versions. It sold fucking horribly. it's already weird enough to look at Mega Man games and then understand that the two best selling Mega Man games as of 2023 are Mega Man 11, the recent one, has sold 1.7 million copies, and the number 2, previously the number 1 up until 2 years ago, was Mega Man 2 on the NES, sold 1.5 million copies. Nothing out of the 100 Mega Man games that have been released sold better than that across 35 years? At this point, more, almost 40 years. But yeah, Legacy Collection might get there, but it is also, if it gets 1.5 or 1.7 million, we'll say 2 million even, that's 2 million copies of a collection that contains 10 games in it, right? So it's hard to gauge, compilations like that where it's does it really count as that versus, do you assume a division, spread across whatever, but regardless, so that's already one thing enough. When you start looking into what Mega Man sales were like in the late 2000s, it's horrible. Nearly every game basically landed with a dull thud, which sucks because most of those games were good. But it was just an era where people were kind of tired of Mega Man. A lot of reviews for the ZX games and for even the Star Force games, especially Battle Network 5 and 6, were oh, it's Mega Man again, because it was starting to feel like, oh, it's just the same game over and over. Mega Man 1 through 6 are fundamentally the same engine. Mega Man X through X3 are fundamentally the same engine. X4 to X6 are fundamentally the same engine. 0 to 04 are the same engine and sprites and everything, just like the classic Mega Man games. ZX and ZX Advent are the same basic engine. Battle Network 1, 2, and 3 are basically the same engine. 4, 5, and 6 are basically the same engine. Star Force 1, 2, and 3 are basically the same engine as well. It's a big criticism of Mega Man as a franchise was that it rarely changed it would change the plots, but not really the formula enough for people to get into it. Which sucks because if you were a fan of the series, then you were thrilled to have another game pretty close to the last one because you're sweet, more. It's sweet, 2 cakes. But yeah, Star Force 3, I think sold it might have even sold less than 100,000 copies in total. And yeah, most of the time, especially in the earlier games, it was the same plot over and over again. Sales. Oh, here we go. The Black Ace version of Mega Man Star Force 3 was the 7th best-selling game in Japan during the week ending November 20th, 2008. So when it came out, it was only the 7th best-selling game of that week. I have no idea how many other games came out November of 2008. But if on launch you're barely keeping into the top 10, that's really not great. While the Red Joker version charted at number 13 the same week, so Red Joker didn't even crack the top 10 for its launch week. Combined, the two versions sold 174,426 copies by the end of 2008. So between the two of them, the average sales were 87,000 units for each of the two on average. Less than 100,000 copies per on average. That's terrible. That's so bad. That would be great for an indie title. That's terrible for fucking Mega Man on their 60th core title. So it's not a huge surprise that things went the way they did. But yeah, the ChatGPT just started getting it wronger and wronger over time. Originally I had figured, there were two things that didn't wind up making it in there. One was I was debating having a shot where, I would probably hold the camera up in a way where you can't really see my arm moving, but have it kind of move past my face to see Evil Jeff sitting on the couch, just kind of glaring and grinning and stuff, maybe with a glowing red eye kind of thing going on. We just kind of didn't have time for that. And afterwards too, I was even while editing, I realized I had very little time with the music that I'd chosen to do that. I was also debating having a couple lines, sort of I didn't want this. I said I didn't want to write an intro. I wanted to show support, solidarity, but I didn't want this sort of thing. But as I started editing it in, the music had to get dropped down really hard, which was kind of a bummer because I felt like the music drop for that had a very overwhelming tone to it, and I really liked it when it was kind of loud and sort of swallowing the scene. And also, as I was doing it, I'm like, oh, that's like edgy, moody, weird shit that doesn't feel right for the vibe for this. I wanted it to feel more like overwhelming existential loss more than grim, dark, edgy, red and black kind of thing there. Yes, that was the kind of hint for what was really going on that I put in the title, put in the description. It was something to the effect of like, hey, in honor of the writers' strike, or in solidarity with the WGA strike, I didn't write this. 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 Which I was hoping at least somebody would catch that as being like, oh, okay, and like put two and two together. So good on you for spotting that. And yeah, so, and then as you come out of it, I definitely did my best smiling guy meme energy of like, how much pain can I exude through smiling eyes for that last line, and like really hanging on the last shot there. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting kind of experimental thing there. I had been, with getting a bunch more. Unpaused is going to be coming back also this weekend, for the record. We've been behind by a good amount, and I'm going to be churning that shit out. I was having some hard drive weirdness shuffling stuff around, but that is now resolved, so we're all good there. But in getting a bunch of those set up, I was like, man, I miss doing the more like elaborate intros, but also the more like artistically weird ones too. Like, what can I do that's like a little bit off base from the usual for this, to kind of like try something different, and that's what I wound up on. So I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. So I don't know. It was a shot in the dark. So I don't know. It's fun. It was fun to make. I want to get into more elaborate stuff. I've got an idea for a more elaborate thing that like I'm hoping to get done for this fall. I might hold off depending on how it's coming along, and like make it a Christmas special. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think that is it for tonight for the Hangout. And in an attempt to hopefully not have to cancel the Pokemon Violet stream in order to like clear that stuff out, I'm actually going to take like a 15 or so minute break, and then I'm going to be setting up for another Kirby Air Ride stream, because I'm not going to be streaming next Thursday. I'm also not going to be streaming Kirby the Thursday after that. So I would rather be able to clear out City Trial before not playing Kirby Air Ride for 3 weeks. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to be heading over to twitch.tv/dpadfm, all that stuff, for some Kirby Air Ride. We'll see if we can knock out at least one of these 3. And depending on where things go, I will also probably have some Jackbox prepared as a possible thing. If things are feeling kind of dry, then we can do that. Especially if we wind up getting Dynablade and the Dragoon and Hydra, then we need to set our characters to drive for a while, so we'll need to burn some time. So I'm going to stretch my legs, use the bathroom, blow my nose at long last, and get maybe another one of these bad boys. And we'll be getting started shortly. So thank you guys very much for hanging out. Anybody watching VOD after the fact, if you want to join in on one of these, head to patreon.com/dpadfm. You can find out more. They're about to do a huge overhaul on the website in general, so I'm probably going to have to update a bunch of things on there. I think they're literally getting rid of the milestone goals, which is asinine to me, but not my call. So I don't know. We'll figure something out. We may just, post them as still milestones that we will get to. We do owe a milestone reward once we can get enough fucking people together. Maybe that'll be a Christmas thing this year. Also, all right, I'm gonna go and do that. I will catch you guys in a few. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll see ya.